A year ago, a humanoid robot doing a backflip on camera could move a funding round. Investors watched the video, called the founder. A $1 billion valuation followed. The demo was the asset. I've spent a decade watching capital pathways open and close across Chinese markets. Last episode, biotech, position in the capital pathway decides the return. Not the capability. This time, embodied AI. The money is pouring in. Over $3 billion in Q1 2026 alone, more than $5.5 billion through mid-May. But the money is no longer chasing backflips. Three things happened in spring 2026 that changed how this sector gets priced. AgiBot's robots started running live production lines at Longcheer. Unitree crossed 11,000 humanoid units on a single model. And Spirit AI beat Nvidia's model on a benchmark Nvidia helped create. One of these stories is about capability. Two are about position. The capability story got the headlines. The position stories will decide who survives. Q1 2026. China's humanoid robot sector attracted over $3 billion in disclosed financing. Through mid-May, more than $5.5 billion across 176 plus deals, already surpassed all of 2025. And here's what the money produced. Between March and June 2026, two companies crossed the 10,000 unit threshold. AgiBot hit 10,000 cumulative units in March, from 5,000 to 10,000 inches just 3 months. Unitree announced approximately 11,000 units on a single bipedal model in early June. Context. In all of 2025, global humanoid shipments were estimated between 13,000 and 20,000 units. China produced a roughly 80 to 90%. Two companies' cumulative output now matches that entire global figure. China's 2026 projection, 50,000 to 62,500 units, a 500 to 700% year-on-year increase. Goldman Sachs revised its global humanoid TAM upward sixfold. The numbers are big, the direction is consistent. This is no longer a prototype industry. Engine AI's Shenzhen facility produces one robot every 15 minutes. Unitree's cheapest humanoid, the R1, retails for 29,900 yuan domestically, about 4,100. Musk said Optimus will cost less than $20,000. That makes the R1 roughly one-fifth the target price of Tesla's offering. BYD confirmed it's developing its own humanoids. XPeng set a mass production target for end of 2026. The automakers are coming. They bring their own factories as first deployment sites, their own supply chains, their own capital. That changes the competitive structure. Production volume is one thing. What those robots actually do when they leave the factory is another. That's where the valuation story begins. April 2026. AgiBot broadcast an 8-hour live stream of its G2 humanoids working a live tablet prescription line at Longcheer Technology. Not a demo, not a lab. A real consumer electronics factory in Nanchang, running at production speed. 310 units per hour, cycle time of 19 to 20 seconds, operation rate above 99%. 4 months from initial integration to stable mass production. A robot that picks materials off a moving conveyor, routes anomalies to a staff window, and runs an 8-hour shift without manual intervention. That's not a research milestone. That's a worker. The technical distinction matters. Conventional industrial arms follow rigid, pre-programmed motions. They break when anything changes. AgiBot's G2 combines simulation-based validation, reinforcement learning, and on-device intelligence. The robots adapt rather than require bespoke reprogramming. That's why Longcheer went from integration to stable production in 4 months. Setup time collapses when the robot adjusts itself. AgiBot plans to scale to 100 robots at Longcheer by Q3, then expand into automotive, semiconductor, and energy. The consumer electronics deployment becomes a replicable template. This is the moment the industry crossed from "can we build it" to "can it actually do the job?" And the answer, at least in controlled industrial settings, is yes. Unitree tells the same story from a different angle. 2025 revenue, 1.699 yuan billion, up 335% year-on-year. Gross margin, 60.13%. Smartphone-level margins in what everyone assumed was capital-intensive, low-margin hardware. Unitree shipped 5,500 humanoid units in 2025, ranking first in China. Humanoid revenue surpassed quadruped revenue for the first time, crossing 51% of total sales. Unitree plans to raise 4.2 yuan billion in its IPO. Its Star Market application passed the listing committee review on June 1, by my count just 66 days after acceptance. The domestic exit pathway for embodied AI hardware is open, and it works. Now contrast Spirit AI. Its V1 6 model topped the Robo-Arena benchmark, beating Nvidia's Cosmos 3 and Physical Intelligence's Pi 0.5. A Chinese model on a benchmark built by its competitors, taking first place, a genuine capability milestone. Spirit AI also has real deployments. Its Maz robots run on CATL's battery pack production line over 99% task success rate, 3 times the daily workload of human workers. JD Mall stores have Maz robots interacting with customers. Bosch signed a group-level strategic partnership. But compare the timeline. Unitree has been selling robots commercially since 2020. Spirit AI's first deployment came in December 2025, a 5-year head start. That shows up in the numbers. Unitree, 1.699 yuan billion in 2025 revenue. Spirit AI, 100 yuan to 150 million revenue target for 2026. The gap isn't about model quality, it's about deployment time. Revenue follows deployment, not benchmarks. The founder said the short-term goal is 95% task success rate after 1 hour of fine-tuning in a new environment, a technical ambition. The gap between what a model does on a known line and what it does on a new one. That gap determines whether a model company becomes a platform or stays a supplier. A benchmark win and a factory deployment are both real. They're just priced differently. Embodied AI is the same story as biotech with different actors. 3 companies, 3 positions, 3 valuation outcomes. Unitree has hardware, revenue, margins, and a domestic IPO pathway. Its position is clear. It can access public markets, convert production volume into market cap. The valuation reflects delivery, not potential. The company opened Asia's first embodied AI experience store in Shanghai. Consumers walk in and interact with the robots. That's a retail channel, not a research showcase. AgiBot has 10,000 units deployed, a live factory deployment, and international expansion underway. Experience Center in Malaysia, strategic partnership with Mint Group in Germany. Mint's factories worldwide become training grounds for AgiBot's robots. A data acquisition strategy disguised as a sales partnership. Spirit AI has a benchmark-topping model, real but early-stage commercial deployments, and a valuation built on model potential. Its position is different. It must prove the model can generate revenue at scale. Deploying on a CATL line proves capability. Building a revenue model that justifies a 20 yuan billion valuation is a different test. The investment logic has already moved. A leading humanoid company executive described current investor screening: commercialization capability, deployment capability, technology foundation. Notice the order. Commercialization first, technology third. The shakeout prediction from multiple founders: 18 months. By end of 2027, most of the dozens of humanoid startups will face elimination. The category consolidates around a few leaders. 100 flowers bloom. Then the market concentrates. Component costs reinforce the shift. Harmonic reducers dropped from 3,000 yuan 5,000 to 1,500 yuan 2,000. Servo motors fell over 40%. 6-axis force sensors from 5,000 yuan plus to 1,500 yuan 2,000. A single robot's hardware cost compressed by 100,000 yuan 200,000. Industrial use cases are crossing break-even. When hardware gets cheap, the advantage moves from building the robot to deploying it. The company with the most units in factories wins the data flywheel. More deployments, more data, better models, more deployments. The loop closes. Once it closes, catching up compounds with every cycle. Position in the capital pathway. The same framework that explains why a Chinese biotech molecule gets priced at 6% of its global peer. Now it explains why a robot on a production line is worth more than a robot on a benchmark. 3 questions for any embodied AI investment in China. 1. How many units are actually working in real environments? Not shipped, working. A robot running 8-hour shifts 5 days a week generates data, revenue, and evidence. A robot shipped to a research lab generates a press release. 2. Who is the customer, and is the order commercial or pilot? Industrial capital from BYD, CAT-L, Xiaomi brings more than money, seed customers, supply chains, real deployment scenarios. Financial capital alone doesn't close the loop. A signed purchase order versus a letter of intent is the difference between a valuation floor and a ceiling. 3. What does the exit pathway look like? Unitree's 6-day star market review shows the domestic IPO path is open for hardware with real revenue, but the path for model-only companies is less clear. The capital pathway that lets you exit determines the price at which you can exit. True for biotech, true for embodied AI.
This is the deployment disconnect. The industry have moved from capability to proving position. With companies with deployment get a premium pricing. Companies with demos get harder looks. The disconnect series exists. Valuation, lessening, position. This was the deployment disconnect. Same framework. Position in the capital pathway. Decide the return. Capability is secondary until you know the pathway. Next episode, what happened when the hardware cost curve and the model capability curve converge? A humanoid robot handling toward 15,000 yuan. Intelligence handling toward general purpose. When both hit simultaneously, the market structure changes in ways most analysts aren't modeling. Subscribe and hit the bell. What disconnect should we cover next? Drop it in the comments. This is China Alpha Hunter, and see you next time.